So this person worked at Twitch and also worked at Blizzard and apparently touched every department and also is Pirate Software's ex-roommate. I don't hate Quintheo. DK, you need to stop coming in half-cocked and thinking I just hate everyone. And then you do a thumbnail about them that's like, I don't know, deranged, okay? I hate Quintheo.
This is against the terms of service, and you will not impersonate any person or entity, falsely claim an affiliation with any person or entity, access the Twitch services account holders without permission. 2013, there it is. Okay.
This is us. Right there.
Okay.
Bro, no way. Okay, well, that's good enough for me.
In utter dismay, I was wrong about every single Twitch terms of service. Where I thought it could be broken, it ends up being that the reason that those were written the way that they were was for a completely different reason.
Now, I've got to say,
that
this is probably the most deranged I've ever seen Quintheo. Obviously, you know, I've spoken to Quintheo before a couple of times now. Seems like a nice guy. I respect the hustle. I respect the milking. I don't even have a problem with this necessarily. But this is next level. This is next level. I spoke to Pirate Software's ex-roommate. Bro, this is fucking nuts, dude. Bro, I gotta be honest with you, right? Quintheo came on stream and we had that discussion about, like, whether or not he's getting harassed. And then he goes and interviews his ex-roommate. Not that I'm saying this is harassment. I don't think that way about it. But it's just funny that he was, oh, he's getting harassed. He's like, right, let's get his ex-roommate on for a conversation. I mean, I like it. It's base, but dude, come on. This is fucking pretty out there, okay? Yeah, dude, exactly. You change your tune a bit after your 700K video. Oh, what, harassment? Oh, whatever. Just get his fucking ex-roommate. I don't fucking care about it. I want another 700K view video. Where's his ex-wife? Does his ex-wife want to talk? Let's go. Let's have at it.
Okay, that's wonderful.
But in any case, apparently they talked a bit about this recent situation. So let's see what this person's got for us. And let's see the lengths at which Quintheo is going to A-log Pirate Software now.
I believe that the reason that Kronos gave was insincere. That is my personal belief. You know, they're getting money on top of buying these bits. They're essentially getting bribed to do this. So to me, that's illicit. To me, that should absolutely be a bannable offense. But Twitch is not going to enforce it.
Recently, I posted a video talking about pirates.
Okay, already I'm annoyed. It should be a bannable offense, according to you, according to Twitch's TOS. Like, what are we assessing this based on? Because if it's according to you, fair enough. But then if it's not in Twitch's rules that that's not allowed, then that's not against Twitch's rules. Did you see the quagmire that you get into when you start fucking getting into the Twitch TOS stuff? Honestly, I think Quintheo has made a big mistake by making this so much about Twitch TOS. I don't think I watched his video about it. We were posting it, but obviously I covered it myself. But I think there's a segment here where he literally pulls up Twitch TOS and goes over it. I mean, it's just worthless. Yeah, potential legal trouble. One of these, dude, this is stupid, man. Twitch TOS breach. Listen, I love a farmer as much as the next one, okay? Good luck to you farming it, but it just is worthless to get into that from my perspective.
Software seeming to collude with his lead moderator Kronos to inflate and extend the duration of his hype train. Now, if you'd like more info on this situation, here's a link to said video. But to continue on, I told you guys that I would potentially be speaking with a lawyer, as well as the fact that I'd reached out to someone that was working with Twitch. Now, that lead ended up falling short with the person working at Twitch, but I got very lucky and ended up running into someone who had worked at Twitch for 8 years and actually had expertise with the terms of service. Their name here is Aludiana, and they were also an ex.
I just can't get over how gay he looks. Right. You got a problem, DK, with effeminate looking men, haven't you? I think you got some sort of like issue there. You always hate men that look a bit gay.
Ex-Blizzard employee as well as ex-Twitch. And now what's even more interesting is they actually were working with Pirate Software when he worked at Blizzard. Matter of fact, she was his kind of higher up. But not only that, she was also an ex-roommate of his, and she has a lot to talk about. Now, for the sake of you guys, the viewers, I wanted to break this down. So in this video, we're specifically going to be going over the Twitch terms of service breakages. So that's what's going to be in the content.
Oh my God. I just don't. Why hang your hat on the Twitch TOS point? I literally don't fucking get it. You can criticize, like, it's the classic thing where you're looking for some authority, dude. You're basically just like institution cucked. You're authority cucked, right? Where there has to be some sort of breach from a higher power in order to validate your criticism of it. But there just doesn't have to be. You can come up with your own criticism of what you think is bad behavior. You don't need Twitch TOS or fucking the law to step in, right? Dude, if someone's walking down the street and puts a cigarette butt and flicks it on the floor, right? And the police officer's not around to fucking arrest him for it, right? Do you go, oh, well, I guess it's not a big deal then? No, it's still a problem to do that. It's still an issue. Just because they haven't got a police officer there to fucking implement the law doesn't mean that it's not done something wrong in fucking flicking a cigarette butt on the ground. Something shitty. Do you know what I mean? I guess littering might be, you know, maybe, you know. I'm just trying to think of something that's like kind of minimal, that's not that big a deal. I'd call it something else as well, rather than a cigarette butt. But do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, you don't need to rely on authority to assess whether or not an action is good or bad. You can do that off your own set of views and morals, and make an argument as to why you think the behavior is a problem. I just think it's such a mistake to focus so much on the Twitch or the legal stuff. Like, just make your own criticism of it, you know? Because you're setting yourself up where if it's not against Twitch TOS or nothing happens, or it's not against the law, well, what are you left with then? You can maybe revert back to some argument of why it's wrong anyway, but then it just looks like you're coping. Whereas Harmful was able to make very strong critiques and condemnations without ever relying on any sort of like legal authority.
Of this video, and then I'll be releasing a secondary video to go over her experiences with him as a roommate as well as working with him. And you'll get to hear about
Oh yes, dude, Quinn is farm maxing right now. Dude, I gotta respect it, I must say. No hate for Quinn, but you know, this could easily be one video, but obviously he wants to do two. Listen, I'm not criticizing him, to be clear, okay? I think that's fucking based. But I'm just pointing out that this is like farm maxing behavior. Or just split that in two. Or do 2 separate videos on that, lovely. I do it myself with DK. To be fair, it's often because our segments are quite long. But even so, I do still do that and say, like, we'll probably do like 2 or 3 out of this.
how he would choose not to do his job and instead would browse Reddit. Yeah, last 10 seconds before we jump in, consider subscribing, really helps out the channel and it's just a click for you guys. And like the video if you end up finding the information useful, want to help boost it in the algorithm, it really does help me a great deal. But with all that being said, hope you enjoyed the video and enjoyed the interview. So let's kind of shift our focus over to talking about...
I shot the PS7 the model video so many times it's past me and totally unnecessary. It's just, dude, it's just... it's just fucking bro. It's like you're being, it's like I feel like a piggy. I feel like a piggy. I'm not even hungry and I'm getting slop put in front of me and I'm gobbling it up. It's too easy.
The more recent stuff. A recent video that I had done had kind of brought to light that there was some exchange DMs between Pirate Software and his lead moderator Kronos that are kind of, I would say, clearly implying that they were kind of working together. Matter of fact, even with the previous messages that Kronos showed, one of which is edited, and apparently he's just not available right now, but in the next few days I should be able to see when he edited that message. But regardless, this hype train was kept alive by, at the very least, from what we see here, Kronos. And I went through in that video and did...
What's on her monitor? Some sort of anime character of a non-discernible nature? I don't fucking know, dude. You tell me.
Quite a hefty amount of speculation, and where that specifically there was part of that with the terms of service, and that is kind of a bit of why we got in touch. If you could, so what is your experience with Twitch, the terms of service, things like that?
Okay, this is the fun part. So I was the sole UX writer for Twitch. What that means is I touched every department at Twitch.
Wait, hang on. So this person worked at Twitch and also worked at Blizzard and also is PirateSoftware's ex-roommate and apparently touched every department. I hope Quintheo has verified who this person is, because that just sounds too good to be true. That sounds like you've literally found the perfect person to talk about this and slate them in a way that gives them perfect, pristine credibility. Now, I'm not saying that it's bullshit, because, yeah, it is true that tech people go through all the different tech companies. But I'm just like, I'm putting some level of faith in Quintheo that he's actually verified this stuff, because you obviously can't just bring on someone that says this. You need to actually get proof from them. Okay. I'll wait. But I just am a bit like, okay, I'm a bit like, oh god, this seems too good to be true, doesn't it? I've got a person that can only shit on Pirate Software, but they've got the perfect credibility to do so because of 3 different strings to their bow. She's also his mother and sister. I'll take that off of chat. Someone said that's his mother, and I just thought it'd be funny to say that. I didn't think about the incest angle, to be fair. I forgot about the incest angle. I just thought it was the funny idea there was just that she's all these different parts of his life. Mother, sister, ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, everything. Everything.
Which that includes things like terms of service enforcement. That includes all of the contracts. I dealt a lot with trying to convince a lot of the teams that they needed to be more explicit with their terms. And a lot of the time they weren't, because they wanted to be as concise as possible, which makes sense because, users don't want to read anything. Like, that is just a thing. So we have to have an understanding in the terms of service that things need to be taken more or less literally. When we're speaking on terms of inflating numbers, we mean things like view counts. It means the actual functional numbers that would actually matter for metrics. Like, it has nothing to do with things like donations,
or a hype train level.
Or a hype train level.
Right.
Okay.
Like, it should not have anything to do with that, because hype train is one of those.
Yeah. So it sounds like she's actually saying that the hype train, the TOS angle's not correct, from what I'm getting from this.
Very pay-to-win systems. If
Right.
you can pay to win, you pay to win. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Okay.
Now, there is something to be said about if Pirate himself was using an alt account to inflate the numbers, that could potentially be an argument. But if it was his mods, it is not unusual for mods themselves to contribute to hype trains. So if they could do that in the first place, they're
became a member at Quintheo 5001.
Thank you. You just said hello. He said hello. Hello. Thank you for that. I don't know how to turn that off, bro. It's out fucking lengthy with all the time as well. Thank you, Dofo Show. Hope you're well. Thanks for the membership.
more than welcome to sustain the hype train.
So it's not typical for a mod to go out of their way to create an alternate account to do this thing.
Yeah, there are, and I don't want to say this is normal.
No, okay, no, it's not normal. That is not normal behavior. Ask any streamer. Ask a streamer if they've done that. I mean, I don't know if they'd be honest about it, but it's not normal at all.
Like,
Sure.
This is not something that everybody does. However, something that some people will elect to do, especially if they want to protect their privacy. You'll see this with, let's say, e-girls. All right? Like, people will create alt accounts to give huge donations to certain accounts that they don't necessarily want to have attention drawn to their mains with. Whatever the reason.
Dude, actually, that particular reason, right? I remember once I've been gifted subs on Twitch to stupid channels. Like, I've talked about, like, fucking, I don't know, some e-girl on Twitch, and then I get gifted a sub for that. And then there've been times where I've, like, for whatever reason, showed my sub page, and it shows the fucking e-girl, and people are like, oh, you were sub to her? You sub to her, were you? No, it was a fucking gift. I didn't fucking sub to this bitch. What are you on about? So, yes, I understand the simps. I get the simps fucking pain, to be honest.
Reasoning maybe behind it. I believe that the reason that Kronos gave was insincere. That is my personal belief.
I actually agree with you, and the reason that I agree with you is because 100 tier 1 subs had already been donated by his main account, which he said as much about.
And also, if you're creating an alternate account,
She's saying people do it, it's not against TOS, but the TOS pretty clearly states that it is against the terms. They won't enforce if he's not small enough to punish. Well, I'm not getting into the litigation of Twitch TOS myself. I don't care, and I don't think it's relevant to condemn his behaviour. But I mean, I don't know if that's even necessarily true. It seems to be more about view botting and stuff, like she was saying. But anyway, if you want to believe that, that's fair enough. I'm not really that interested in that angle.
You do not say, this is my alternate account.
Which, yeah, he's a grown-ass man. He can do what he wants with his money. I don't think I've ever heard of a grown-ass man receiving a paycheck and then taking part of that check and handing it back to his boss. But I digress. That's just a goofy, funny little thing.
It's a goofy thing. And honestly, if he wanted to lie about it, he could say, I wanted the emote on 2 accounts.
Yeah, there's so many better excuses. Yeah. Okay, so this was the first main point that I had brought up. And so the reason that I was looking at this specific point here was the offering to sell, trading, bartering, or transferring bits to other users.
Bro, dude, you see the problem with this? Do I need to explain, like, how you're going off the track with this, then? It is totally worthless to try and fucking litigate Twitch's TOS like this. Unless it's a clear-cut case. Unless it's fucking obvious on its face that it's a breach. Or whatever, and you want to argue that it's not being enforced properly. Because then you're fucking arguing and debating over the terms of the TOS and fucking litigating out to the terminology and the semantics of these words for these particular issues. And then if it turns out it's not against TOS, then you've shot yourself in the foot, because then you need to revert back to making a moral or ethical argument anyway. So you might as well just make the moral or ethical argument, and that's enough. That's enough to condemn the behavior. It doesn't need to be against Twitch's terms of service for it to be bad behavior.
To Twitch in exchange for a real or virtual currency. Now, the reason I use this is because, and I actually didn't know this at the time, but the assumption was based on the verbiage that they used in their discussion. It implied that they were trying to get the best return for the streamer, which would end up being better for Kronos when it turned. Now, I did just find out recently that it was established
the verbiage. You're talking about the verbiage of Twitch TOS. Well, you can just call him a slut. No, dude. You can criticize the behavior without even concerning yourself with what the verbiage of Twitch TOS is in this case.
That hype train, that the moderators were going to be receiving half of that hype train's proceeds.
Oh my God.
That was announced publicly. Matter of fact, it's on the Discord. I now have access and screenshots of that message. And so...
No, I don't think Quintheo is a lolcow. No, that's ridiculous as far as I can tell. I just think we've got a personal disagreement about the right direction or focus for this particular story, which is fine. Maybe he thinks that this is valuable and good and whatever. It's not the end of the world. It's just I think this is the wrong line to take with this. And I mean, I also personally just don't find it very interesting. You know, and you know, sure. I mean, even in some ways I'm biased because I'm very bored of talking about Twitch TOS as well. And there have been times where I have spoken about Twitch TOS and I don't have a problem with it. But it just seems like it's not a clear-cut enough case to really fucking do that, you know? And really, it's only valuable if you're talking about Twitch's inconsistent, you know, enforcement of TOS, because it's like, well, this person is banned and that person isn't, and they both meet what I consider to be the rules here. Whereas in this case, you're just trying to make some condemnation or criticism of PirateSoftware's behavior.
Receiving half of that hype train's proceeds.
Oh my God.
That was announced publicly. Matter of fact, it's on the Discord. I now have access and screenshots of that message. And so Kronos, alongside the other moderators, knew full well that they would be receiving half the money that was being sent here. So now that 80% share makes a lot more sense that they were discussing it, because that meant that they were going to get more money back after giving it to the hype train.
Yeah, but
80%. Oh, okay. Yeah. That could be, I mean, again, I'm not wanting to conclude on it, but like, yeah, you get 80% value back. Well, that's going to then mean more money in the hype train for the split when it comes to you.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
I agree with you, Chud, but people take law/toes angle because they want to see consequences, and law/toes are ways to do so. Bad man must be punished.
No, I do understand that. I personally, unless it's very serious, I just don't really care about stuff like that. Like, it makes no difference to me whether or not Quintheo gets banned. I'm sorry, Quintheo. Fuck. No! Bro! No! I didn't mean to say that. Fuck. Freudian slip. Fuck. I meant fucking Pirate Software, dude. Okay, I do not care. I do not care what Legal Mindset said about this, okay? Right? I genuinely do not, I'm not doing any, I don't care about Legal Mindset in this. I'm extremely skeptical that there is going to be any legal consequence for this. That sounds ridiculous. And I just don't think it's worth getting into. And also, what if I sit here and I go, guys, this is like a massive legal problem. Pirate Software is in massive legal trouble, right? He's going to get in loads of legal trouble for this, and there's going to be all these problems. And then it doesn't happen. Well, then you just made yourself look like an idiot, haven't you? Whereas you could just go, this is what I've got a problem with, and then that stands regardless, as long as you're accurate about what you're talking about, you know? So anyway, if you're interested in the legal angle, that's your prerogative. I'm just saying I personally don't find it particularly valuable, and I think it hurts your ability to let your criticism stand, personally.
Those returns actually, I think, are with respect to the transaction value of bits, because there's an exchange rate. The return on the actual purchase of bits versus what the streamer gets, because the streamer gets 100% of the bits when they're directly donated. The difference is if they're donated through an extension, which I think they were talking about extensions. If they're donated like through the soundboards and things like that,
Sure.
then the extension maker obtains a portion of that.
Is that the 20% or the 18%, 82%?
That's whichever percent. I can't remember exactly the percent, but that's where...
For an extension. What is this about? Well, the thing is, my understanding with bits is that you pay Twitch for 100 bits, and I think it's an extra percentage on top. So you pay like, what, 139 for 100 bits or something. I don't know the exact figure. Twitch get 39, and then you give 100 bits, you get that. The streamer gets 100 bits. They get paid $1 for that. Maybe there's some browser extension or something. I don't really know what they're talking about.
Where the extra cut comes from. Otherwise, the bits are a one-to-one donation. So if you donate 100 bits after purchase to a streamer, they get 100 bits.
Interesting. Okay, so
you've already paid that transaction fee.
that makes sense. So then in turn, well, I think we can then chalk that up. So the reason that the bit percentage that...
What, is there going to be some class action lawsuit against Jason? Yes, dude. There's thousands of chatters that are currently filing a class action lawsuit for fraud over the scam hype train thing. It's happening, guys. Just you wait. Legal Mindset is going to be the lead attorney. Okay, I got inside information, got the inside scoop.
That they were talking about was brought up is because they were using text-to-speech. Would that have been a third party?
I think so.
Okay.
But then for the other terms here, if you want me to explain these.
Yes, please.
Like real or...
Oh god, private parts are gonna fall out here. That's tough. I don't think anyone was going to cover this. I was just saying he gave a take on it. Didn't know you had a hard-on for LM. Well, you know, I've already talked about the legal mindset stuff. You know, I even defended legal mindset more or less the other day against all that call I thought was bullshit. Okay, so I will not just slate him at any turn. I just, you know, felt that there was a story covered in a way that I felt was undermined his credibility. So I just tend not to watch his coverage of stuff. But that's okay. That's okay, guys. That's okay.
For virtual currencies, this pertains.
Hey, Malkaz, thank you for the sub. Appreciate it. Thank you. Gokbound cancelled. No, dude, listen. Okay, Private Parts has been through enough. Private Parts has been through enough as it is. And plus, I wanted to carry me in gears when it comes out, so I need to be nice to him.
A speech. Would that have been a third party?
So.
Okay.
But then for the
no, don't worry about it, mate. It's all good. There's you know, if you're in it for the private software stuff, and you want to, I mean, whatever. It's obviously your prerogative. But I'm just saying my personal take on it. It's all good. Anyway, looking forward to Gokbound, mate. Yeah, Gokbound, right?
terms here, if you want me to explain these.
Yes, please.
Like real or virtual currencies. This pertains to something like Robux. That's real or virtual currencies, like any of those virtual currencies.
So like giving bits to a creator in exchange for Robux.
You're giving me bits for WoW Gold. Can't do that.
Again, so the main reason that I was focusing on is like for that real currency. So I would say what you're arguing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that even though Kronos at this point understood that he would be getting a return of the money that was donated through the hype train, whether it be through bits, donations, etc., subs, even with him knowing that fact and then donating to the stream, in his head, or the way that he's understanding it, or maybe that pirate, or, you know, just for the hypothetical.
Bro, dude. Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, honestly. I think making a point, it's fine to say, look, these are the TOS, this person was banned, that person wasn't, they're clearly not enforcing them fairly, fine. I don't, that's, obvious, maybe we want to do that. It feels like you're, trying to litigate the TOS this hard. I don't hate Quintheo. DK, you need to stop coming in half-cocked and thinking I just hate everyone. And then you do a thumbnail about them that's like, I don't know, fucking deranged, okay? I do not hate Quintheo. You could basically take the I, hate Quintheo, and then you could take the do not part out in some way, and then you could do like 3 dots to signify that you've cut something from the sentence, and then put that on the thumbnail. That's what you do with that. Bro, I don't hate Quintheo. I just, I've got a professional disagreement with him. That's it. And that's fine. Listen, if Quintheo's about, and he wants to argue about it, I'll happily talk to him. I mean, I'm not even angry about it. I'm just like, yeah, I think this is the wrong angle, But yeah, I'm not hateful. I like Quintheo. I just think that I think what's happened is he's got it into his head somehow that, you've got to get the TOS point in or something. I don't know. Maybe you've seen other coverage. I don't know what it is, but he's really focused on this TOS thing, and I just think it's a worthless distraction.
They know that they are donating these bits, and in return, they're going to be receiving half of the funds that come back, or as that's dispersed among the moderators. Even with that kind of like thought process, that doesn't change the fact that at a fundamental level on the Twitch service, it was not a direct exchange for finances.
That's what I'm worried about. Like, that's the way that Twitch should enforce it, but that's not how this is written.
Okay.
That's the massive thing about the terms of service. These are the things that I was constantly fighting while I was at the, because they need to be more explicit about this. Because yes, they are making these bits donations in lieu of a payout later on. Like, they know they're going to get paid back, and not just reimbursed. They're getting a paycheck for this work. You know, they're getting money on top of buying these bits. They're essentially getting bribed to do this. So
I mean, even that, like getting bribed, dude, it just feels like it's too strong language to me. Because as far as I understand it, they get paid and then they get a bonus out of this hype train thing. Bro, I'm like, nah, I think that's too much. I think you're over egging the pudding. I don't think that's bribery. That seems like an excessive word to use for that. And also, the reason that TOS is intentionally vague, or not even vague, but broad. They describe things broadly because they don't want to describe things too specifically and paint themselves into a corner where they feel they can't enforce something they want to enforce, so they keep it broad for that reason. And they also don't want creators to be able to have like loopholes to jump through. So they try and keep it broad so that creators can't go, oh, this exact thing isn't allowed, but this thing is just outside of it and that's allowed, so I'll do that instead. You know, it just means that it allows them to debate. I mean, they've even got terms that are like, we can ban you whenever we want for any reasons to get fucked, basically. But, you know, obviously when it comes to like suspending people, they want to have some reasonable guidelines to work by. I mean, it's just that's guidelines, really, rather than like exact, precise rules. I mean, yeah, this is, dude, like, this is what I'm saying about going down this line with it. It's the wrong direction. It's totally the wrong direction to go, and you just don't need to do it. You're creating layers of ability for these people to then defend themselves by attacking these extreme claims that they're getting bribed, rather than just focusing on the core criticism that, you know, this is suspicious, there's alt accounts being used, you are, you know, creating more of an incentive with the hype train, you're getting this kind of false praise and attention from propping it up with these alt account donations. Like, you know, there's lots of good criticisms you can make. You're just, yeah, you're just tying yourself in knots. Yes, exactly. By focusing so much on the TOS.
To me, that's illicit. To me, that should absolutely be a bannable offense. But Twitch is not going to enforce it because they were not using bits to exchange directly for money.
Even if this is like, okay, well, we'll work around the rule. There's no, well, we're not planning to go forward and like edit the rule to make it more specific because they prefer conciseness over covering this.
They didn't send 10,000 bits for an Apple gift card.
That's all this is planned to cover.
It is seriously messed up. Yeah.
Okay, well, totally
I genuinely hope that I am wrong. The way that this is written in the way that this has been enforced unless there is an actual transaction taking place.
There is also, see, this what I don't get why people are so desperate. Well, I do get it. It's because you want to see some punishment for this, but you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. Why can it not be enough to just be critical of his behavior without wanting Twitch to do anything? Like, just fucking, I don't get it, bro. It's stupid. Who cares about Twitch, bro? I don't give a fuck about what Twitch do and don't do. This is about his behavior. You can just focus purely on that.
There is no way that this would be enforceable.
Okay.
It really does suck because I completely agree with you. That is how it should be.
Yes. You want to see your hatred authoritatively justified. Yes, that's a good way of putting it. Exactly. It's like you see someone do something wrong, and then the pleasure you get when the police officer comes and arrests him, you're like, yeah, good, good. It's like that, isn't it?
There was collusion. There was a payout here.
Yes,
Yeah.
the thing that makes it worse for me isn't that is happening. It's just how that ends up incentivizing a viewer, someone that is potentially willing to donate, how that impacts their psyche when it goes into, do I donate to this person? Because that is just like, even with me when I was starting out my channel, it is enticing to pump my numbers up, whether it be through ads, whether it be through like any sort of type of viewership, because when you approach a number where, like, for subscribers, you hit 100K, you have a check mark next to your name. You have 100,000 views on a video that's gone out in a couple hours. People are more incentivized to click on it because of that, you know, appealing to the popularity of something. There's kind of like a guaranteed buy-in that people understand, oh, this person's reputable, and you can see that proof by other people being willing to follow, listen, donate, etc.
Yeah, not only that, but oh, does this mean that we can bot hype trains now to keep them going in perpetuity?
And then they also are rewarded. The viewers are rewarded with the Kappa Infinite emote, with other rewards along the way. And now there's also a popular, like, he got a news article when he broke the 106 world record. There's a lot to get.
Yeah, dude, see, look, this is good. I mean, the emote thing, I do not give a fuck about someone getting an emote. I couldn't care less about that. But I mean, yeah, sure, that's a good example. There's some substantive benefit. You're receiving public attention from a news article that you otherwise would not be getting. Sure, that's the better angle, I think. But yeah, the emote thing plays into his ego. And I guess, you know, there's something to it. Getting because he got like an exclusive emote or something, didn't he? I mean, there's that. I guess that's a bit different than just getting a regular one, but I'm just saying I think there's better things to talk about. But anyway, we'll just finish this. I think I'm just gonna do all the Pirate Software stuff today, I think.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
I do not agree with Toe's angle. However, the more of these controversies lives in Jason's head rent-free, the better I sleep at night.
Yes, I like that. That's a good angle. Yes, very good, very good. Thank you for the super chats.
By also stimulating this. Good to hear that from someone who has that experience on Twitch. I'm glad it's not just
no, we're on the same page. Like, I regularly raged at this company. I was one of the few people who is actually embedded in streaming. Like, I was one of the few people who was a moderator for heavier partners and also a regular streamer on the platform. And it's things like this where, like, you need to clearly outline what is going on here. Like, what do these terms mean? People are going to exploit the system.
The engage in viewership tampering, and then you say such as. So the way that I read that is those are examples.
Oh my god, it's still going, bro. Did Quintheo by any chance get disagreement or pushback on the Twitch TOS point? I don't know. Did that happen? Just feels like in some way he's trying to justify his take with this rather than actually just talking about the topic or the issue. I don't know, man. It just I don't know, bro. It just seems like now we're talking about some other angle of the TOS. I think the roommate stories are coming later. To be fair, he's teasing a bit.
And not fully encompassing the entirety of what that plans to cover. Because again, from my perspective, when I was first reading it, I was going broad. And so in my head, when I see viewership inflation, that for me also at that time included a hype train's level, because you would assume the assumption is those are the viewers that are donating in, and that isn't that isn't the moderators, that isn't, you know, working together to do that.
I wish.
Dude, Quintheo refuses to make a video going over Pirate Software's disgusting furry gay sex logs. The gay sexting logs. However, he is willing to litigate with his ex-roommate about TwitchOS. Bro, what the fuck is going on here?
Part of viewership tampering is anything that can play
where are we getting the Quintheo video on the Black New World Order? Good question.
your stream analytics. So we're talking things like chat activity. Like that is another metric that can be tampered with.
Is revenue from donations not considered?
No, because it's not viewership.
Interesting.
That's just straight revenue. Yeah.
And so correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like the
I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Right? Because the reason that they'll be against viewership tampering is because viewership tampering can mean that they end up paying out more ad revenue than they're due to because they've got fake eyes watching the ad, right? Whereas if you give $100, it doesn't matter if it's from a viewer, a mod, or a mod on an alt account, Twitch is still getting $100. So they're not going to fucking be as concerned about that, right? The TOS in this area, I would presume, is written more to protect Twitch from them giving out more money than they should, rather than them receiving money, because that's money in their pocket, and they're not going to be like, oh, hang on a sec, did this $100 come from an alt account? Oh, we're not going to allow that.
main reason that it's super focused, it has nothing to do with revenue. So even like a hype train level, as like we were kind of looking at, I think that was more from a consumer perspective. It sounds like the reason we're so focused on the viewership counts is because that's coming from a brand.
Because ad revenue.
Yes, so that's going to look bad, and that's going to end up with Twitch losing money if they don't enforce, like, you know, making sure people aren't botting views, because then those aren't actual returns on advertisers.
This can make Twitch lose their own monetization from advertisers. This can make them lose ad partners.
That makes sense. In 10.2 here, this is against the terms of service, and you will not impersonate any person or entity, falsely claim an affiliation with any person or entity, access the Twitch services account from others without permission, etc., misrepresent the source, identity, or content of information transmitted via the Twitch services, or perform any other similar fraudulent activity. So my perspective on this, my understanding, the reason that I had brought this up is because Kronos, who I would consider at this point a public figure, because of he has his own socials, he is the lead moderator for Pirate. It was their stream, so I think for all points considered, the viewership of that treats him as a public figure as well. He had an alternate account that he
Okay, I don't think this is in reference to what they did. That, like, I don't know what it would be used for exactly. But I don't think that this would apply to an alt account like that. I just don't see it. Quintheo is failing to realise that as Pirate Software's lawyer, Kronos would never have done this if there was a legal risk. Yeah, of course, dude. He's already looked at all the relevant laws and knows.
He misrepresented as someone who knew Kronos, who spoke highly of Pirate as if, you know, they were a viewer and they donated in that sense. And so technically, yes, it is a false affiliation with Kronos because this is Kronos himself. He faked having a friend. But the more, you know, that's funny. But the more specific thing, right, was the misrepresentation.
If he was using the roommate detail as clickbait, it didn't working on me. It made me want to skip the video.
I mean, I honestly, you know, I personally don't care about clickbait. I mean, if you don't like clickbait, fair enough. I get that. But for me, it's just like, you know, getting people in thinking you're going to get all the juicy details. Dude, it's actually quite funny. Oh, I spoke to Pirate Software's ex-roommate about Twitch terms of service. It's like, dude, oh, man. And then he's like, well, if you want all the juicy details in the video, come back to the next video. I respect it. I respect the hustle. I just find the content of this objectionable and the wrong direction. But, you know, like I say, we'll get to the end of this, and then we'll farm a bit more. We've got a little bit more to farm. So, yeah.
Representing the source, identity, or content of information transmitted via the Twitch services. He misrepresented, he faked being somebody else.
Yeah, and sadly, this tends to only work the opposite direction. So lying upward is what you get in trouble for. Lying downward, you do not get in trouble for. And they see that as...
Right, yeah, if I went and said, I'm Mr. Glup Shitto, right, that's a problem. If I lie and say, I'm Mizkif, that's a problem. That's probably what they're looking at.
trying to protect your real identity. So it's not hiding who you are because I'm a moderator and I can't let people know I'm a moderator. They see that as, yes, you want to not have people know that you're a moderator, because then they might try to cause problems because you're a moderator.
They're not looking at it as I'm obfuscating where this money is coming from to keep this hype train alive. Because again, this is also, admittedly, this is a niche thing in comparison to Twitch's like general audience, but they're more specifically focused on some people don't want their identity, and they typically, and so, I mean, the rule is in place not to avoid potential fraudulent activity by pretending to be somebody else. It is to obfuscate, to protect the identities of people who don't want to be harassed.
Yeah, the fraud would be like if he was posing as Asmongold and saying, you know, I am making
it's like co-signing a crypto and putting a big name behind it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And I mean this.
Yeah, Dwayne Barry, exactly. He's trying so hard to find TOS violate. Yeah, it's like it gets to a point where if it's plainly observable that they've broken a TOS, even fair enough, right? Like if they say, I don't know, show pornography on stream or something and didn't get banned, which is right there, it's not allowed. Or like, you know, when the women were doing all the crazy stuff, that was, I think, an interesting point. But when you're at the point where you're like digging through the terms, desperately trying to find, well, I'm sure he's broken it somewhere. Let me just, point 3, level 7, oh, this. It's like, bro, just give it a rest, okay? He probably hasn't broken the TOS. And you're just shooting yourself in the foot, I think.
Thank you, because these are corrections to the arguments that I made, but more than that, it's very good to know that like a bit of an understanding of the intentions of these TOS guidelines as opposed to how I interpreted them based on the situation. It's cool to know that that's where they're coming from, and it makes more sense given the context.
Yeah, and honestly, like, this is how they are supposed to be interpreted.
Oh, I see, okay. I did get it a bit wrong there, though, because I thought Quintheo was trying to, like, you know, cope and wanted her to agree that he was right in his interpretation. But I do, to be fair to him, I think he is genuinely like maybe reconsidering his TOS stuff and wants someone to give some clarity. Fair. Quintheo is fair. Quintheo is fair.
Because this is how they were written to be understood.
As a side note, you said that you wanted to show me a bit of proof that you two were working together. Do you have that
here we
with
go.
you?
Here we go.
Oh yes, I do. So this is an interesting artifact. This was the Platform Services yearbook that they did one year. This was 2013.
2013. There it is. Okay.
I'm not sure how many of these they produced because they were rather expensive, but this is us right there.
Okay. And so we've got, and it's kind of grainy. Would you be able to send me a photo of it too?
Bro, no way. Okay. Well, that's good enough for me. The lengths it would take to falsify that is deranged. So yeah, that's good enough for me. Okay, well, listen, she's got a lot of credibility. Damn. Just showing her full name there. Based. Absolutely based.
I could probably just throw it up on the screen as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you're right next to each other. You're both halls.
We're right there. We're both halls. Hence the presumed siblingness, I guess. But his title there is Associate Test Engineer.
Well, thank you so much for spending this time like going over this. Like, truly, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the time.
So to my complete and utter dismay, I was wrong about every single Twitch terms of service. Where I thought it could be broken, it ends up being that the reason that those were written the way that they were was for a completely different reason. And honestly, I kind of expected that I'd at least be wrong on a couple of them, but you know, maybe I guess not all of them. But it's good to know why these terms of service were written the way they were. Moreover,
guys, I'm telling you. Listen, okay? Listen. I knew straight away it was a non-starter. Quintheo took another direction, and look where it got him. Look where it got him. Look where it got him.
Over why there probably isn't going to be
listen,
any
you know, I'm fucking around a bit here. That is actually very, you know, that's a lot of credibility to do that. There's a lot of credibility there to say I was wrong about that. That is actually very impressive. So I will give Quintheo props for, you know, admitting fault. Wait a second, what video is it as well? Hang on a second. Dude, wait a second. Ooh. Ooh, turns out that video I got 867,000 views on. Ooh, turns out I was a bit wrong there. Dude, that's so funny, man. That's based. Ooh, a little bit wrong about that. Anyway, thanks for that. Bye. I don't think he needs to necessarily like even change the video, because obviously it's clear he's interpreting like the TOS or whatever. I mean, realistically, he would have got that without the TOS stuff anyway. So he has literally just made a rod for his own back, as far as I'm concerned. Dude, I mean, obviously, I think this is funny. I don't care. I'm like, good, farm as much as you want, and I'd be a hypocrite if I said otherwise. But I mean, this is just classic, you know, daily video. Well, he's not even daily videos, but you know what I mean. It's like you just put out the thumbnail. It's like, you know, he's done. Dude, there's what, 2 back-to-back that he's done. He's been, how many times has this guy been done? He's done. We have proof. He has lost. He quit. Insane update. Same picture. Wild update. There's more. He's done. It's over. There's more. It's over. Another insane update. It got worse. Another insane update and another insane update. This is so base, dude. This is so stupid, man. I mean, the thing is, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to, I mean, I think this is, I don't really care. But it's difficult for one to argue against this and not sound like a broke loser. Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw one comment that was like, this is pathetic. And it's like, he's probably made, like, I don't know, fucking $30,000 or something off of this. Like, it's fucking ridiculous the amount of money this guy's made off of this.
Okay, that's wonderful.
So it's like,
but how do I make money?
Pathetic just seems like the wrong word. Like, he's made shitloads of money. Thank you. Hey! Thank you, Coding Jesus, for the gifted. That reminds me, actually, I think we're going to do the Coding Jesus updates. I'm not sure if it was my words that influenced you, but I'm glad to see that you've continued the criticism of Pirate Software. Anyway, let's do the last 30 seconds of this.
Consequences sent pirates' way from Twitch. I mean, at the end of the day, their bottom dollar isn't being impacted by this more than it's actually being a positive for them. They're making more money by allowing this kind of behavior. And from how I understand it, Twitch is still working at a loss. So any way that they can make money, they're going to do it, and they're probably not going to address this. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed this segment of the interview. Look for more coming in the future here, and I'll see you guys later. Adios. Peace. Bye.
I think... Okay. I think, although I disagree with the TOS route, I think it was good at the end that he, you know... Yeah, I think it's a lot of credibility to admit you're wrong about something. So, fair play.